Jack Newman wiped sweat from his forehead as he tightened the last bolt on the air recycler. The machine hummed back to life, its soft whirring a welcome sound in the quiet maintenance shaft of Orbital Station Delta 9. He checked the pressure. Readings on his tablet and nodded with satisfaction. Another problem fixed. "Newman, you there?" His supervisor's voice crackled through his earpiece. "Just finished the recycler on level 3, Steve," Jack replied, packing his tools into his belt. "Good. I need you at Docking Bay 7. We've got a Zellner diplomatic vessel that just requested emergency docking." "Some kind of life support issue?" Jack paused. The Zellner were rare visitors to human space stations. Tall, purple-skinned aliens with a complex social structure that few humans understood. "You want me working on alien tech?" "Their systems are compatible enough with ours. Besides, they asked for our help, which never happens. Must be serious." 20 minutes later, Jack stood at the airlock, watching as the sleek, silver ship connected. To the station. His fingers tapped nervously against his toolbox. He had fixed countless systems on the station in his 3 years here, but alien technology was new territory. The airlock hissed open. A tall Zellner male in formal blue robes stepped through, his skin shimmering slightly under the station lights. "I am Second Attendant Krell," he said, his voice melodic but stern. "You are the maintenance technician?" Jack nodded. "Jack Newman. I understand you have life support problems?" Krell's large, almond-shaped eyes blinked slowly. "The environmental regulation system in the diplomatic quarters has failed. Our engineers are occupied with the primary systems. We require assistance. With the secondary life support only." "I'll do my best," Jack said, following the alien into the ship. The interior was nothing like human vessels. The corridors curved organically, with soft blue lighting that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The air smelled of something sweet and unfamiliar. Krell led him to a panel that looked surprisingly similar to the ones Jack worked with daily. "This controls the air quality and temperature for the diplomatic family's quarters. It must be repaired quickly. The ambassador requires specific atmospheric conditions." Jack knelt down and opened the panel. Inside, he found technology that was both familiar and strange. The basic principles were the same as human systems, but the components were more advanced, almost elegant in their design. "I can fix this," Jack said after a few minutes of examination. "But I'll need about 2 hours," Krell nodded. "Work quickly. Do not enter the private chambers beyond this corridor. The ambassador's family is not to be disturbed." With that warning, he left Jack alone. Jack worked steadily, fascinated by the alien technology. It responded well to his touch, almost as if it were alive in some way. The wiring was self-healing, and the computer interfaces adapted to his inputs. He was deep in concentration when he heard a soft sound from above. Jack looked up to see a small vent cover in the ceiling shift slightly. He froze, tools in hand, as the cover moved again and then fell, clattering to the floor. From the opening, a small face peered down at him. It was a child, clearly a young Zellner with bright purple skin and large, curious eyes that glowed slightly in the dim light of the maintenance area. "Hello there," Jack said softly, setting down his tools. "You shouldn't be in the air ducts. It's not safe." The child, a girl, Jack thought, though it was hard to be sure with aliens tilted her head, studying him with intense interest. She was small, maybe equivalent to an 8-year-old human child. "Can you understand me?" Jack asked. "Do you speak English?" The girl didn't answer but climbed down from the vent with surprising agility. She wore a simple silver garment that seemed to shimmer like her skin. Up close, Jack could see patterns on her skin-delicate swirls that might have been natural. Markings or perhaps some kind of cultural decoration. "I should get you back to your family," Jack said, looking around nervously. He remembered Krell's warning about disturbing the ambassador's family. "Are you the ambassador's daughter?" The girl moved closer, examining Jack's tools with obvious curiosity. She picked up a small scanner and turned it over in her hands. "Careful with that," Jack said, gently reaching for the tool. "Some of these things can be dangerous." When his hand came near hers, the girl suddenly hissed a sharp, surprised sound. She backed away, clutching the scanner to her chest. It's okay, Jack said soothingly. I'm not going to hurt you. But I really need to get you back to your parents before I get in trouble. He slowly extended his hand, palm up, trying to appear non-threatening. My name is Jack. What's yours? The girl stared at his hand for a long moment. Then, moving with startling speed, she darted forward. Jack felt a sharp pain as her teeth surprisingly sharp sank into the flesh between his thumb and forefinger. Ouch! Jack pulled his hand back, more surprised than hurt. A small drop of blood welled up from the bite. The girl's eyes widened. She dropped the scanner and backed away, looking suddenly afraid. Before Jack could say anything else, she jumped up, caught the edge of the vent, and pulled herself back into the ceiling with remarkable strength for her size. Wait, Jack called, but she was already gone, the sound of her movement fading in. The duck's dot. Jack looked down at his hand. The bite wasn't deep, but it stung. He wiped the blood away with his work rag and went back to his repairs, occasionally glancing up at the vent dot. By the time he finished fixing the environmental system, he had almost forgotten about the strange encounter. He closed up the panel and called Krell on the communication device he'd been given. The system is repaired, he reported. Should be working at full capacity now. Your assistance is appreciated, Krell replied formally. You may return to your station duties. That night, in his small quarters on Delta 9, Jack noticed something odd. The bite on his hand had developed a faint blue glow. It wasn't painful, but the skin around the wound felt warm and tingly. What the hell, he muttered, examining it under his desk lamp. The blue light pulsed slightly, almost like a heartbeat. Jack considered going to the station's medical bay, but hesitated. Getting bitten by an alien child during a repair job wasn't exactly something he wanted to explain. It would probably heal on its own. He fell asleep watching the strange glow, unaware that by morning everything would change. In his dreams, he heard voices speaking in a language he didn't know yet somehow understood. Words about bonding. Claiming and destiny swirled through his sleeping mind. When Jack woke the next day, the bite still glowed. And when he passed two Zellner diplomats in the corridor, he realized with shock that he could understand snippets of their conversation. Despite never having learned their language, the little girl's bite had done something to him. Something that was just beginning. Jack stared at his glowing hand as he walked to the cafeteria. He had wrapped a bandage around it, but the blue light still leaked through. He kept his hand in his pocket, hoping no one would notice. The station's morning announcement system crackled to life as Jack got his coffee. All personnel who had contact with the Zellner diplomatic vessel, please report to Conference Room B immediately. Jack froze. Did they know about the girl, about the bite? He considered pretending he hadn't heard the announcement, but that would only delay the inevitable. With a sigh, he abandoned his breakfast and headed to the conference room. When he arrived, about a dozen other station workers were already there, engineers, dock workers, and security personnel. Station Director Samantha Ford stood at the front of the room beside a tall, regal Zellner female. The alien woman wore elaborate silver and blue robes, and her purple skin had intricate patterns that seemed to shift in the light. This is Ambassador Liravan of the Zellner Confederation, Director Ford announced. She has requested this meeting. The ambassador stepped forward, her movements graceful and measured. Thank you for coming, she said, her voice musical but commanding. A situation has developed that requires immediate attention. Jack tried to stay near the back of the room, but as the ambassador spoke, her large, luminous eyes scanned the crowd and stopped when they reached him. Her gaze dropped to his poorly hidden hand, where the blue glow was visible even through his pocket. You? She said, pointing directly at Jack. Step forward. All eyes turned to him. Jack reluctantly moved to the front of the room. Show me your hand, the ambassador commanded. Slowly, Jack pulled his hand from his pocket and unwrapped the bandage. The bite mark glowed brighter now, pulsing with blue light. A murmur ran through the room. Ambassador Liravan moved closer, examining the mark. My daughter did this, she said, not as a question but as a statement. Your daughter? Jack asked. The little girl in the air ducts? I was just trying to help her get back to your quarters. The ambassador's expression softened slightly. Milla is curious about humans, too curious it seems. She turned to Director Ford. This man has been marked by my daughter's bite. In our culture this is significant, Director Ford frowned. Significant? How, Ambassador? Is there a medical concern we should address? Not a concern exactly, Liraven said, but a complication. The bite of a juvenile Zellner contains compounds that create a biological bond. It's normally a family-marking ritual, reserved for those who will join our bloodlines. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. What exactly does that mean for me? The ambassador studied him, her head tilted slightly. It means you are changing. The compounds in Milla's saliva are altering your physiology to be compatible with ours. You've likely noticed some effects already. I can understand your language, Jack admitted. When I hear Zellner speaking, I somehow know what they're saying. Director Ford stepped forward, alarmed. Ambassador, this sounds like a biological attack on one of my crew members. It is not an attack, Liraven said firmly. It is an honor, though an unexpected one. Milla's instincts identified something in this man's genetic makeup that is valuable to our people. Other Zellner diplomats had entered the room during this exchange. They whispered among themselves, casting curious glances at Jack. He could now understand snippets of their conversation. Rare compatibility, the High Matriarch will be interested. Unexpected finding ... What happens now? Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Ambassador Liraven turned to face him fully. In our tradition, Milla's action has created a preliminary bond between our families. As her mother and the head of our family line, I would typically formalize this bond by claiming you as my mate. The room fell silent. Jack stared at the ambassador, trying to process her words. She was at least a head taller than him, regal and intimidating, yet somehow also beautiful in an alien way. Your mate? He repeated, like ... marriage? It is more complex than your human concept of marriage, Liraven explained. It is a biological and social bond that cannot be broken. But I understand this was not your choice. We will need to discuss options. Director Ford stepped between them. Ambassador, with all due respect, one of my crew members has been affected by an alien biological agent without his consent. I need to contact Earth government representatives immediately. Of course, Liraven agreed. But understand that the process cannot be reversed. The bond has begun. As they argued, Jack felt a strange sensation, a pull toward the hallway door. He turned and saw the young Zellner girl, Milla, peeking into the room. When their eyes met, she didn't run away. Instead, she raised her small hand in what seemed like an apologetic wave. Jack instinctively raised his glowing hand in return. The blue light pulsed brighter when he looked at her, creating a visible connection between them. Ambassador Liraven noticed this exchange and fell silent mid-sentence. The bond is stronger than I thought, she murmured. 2 days later, Jack sat in the station's medical bay as Dr. Olivia Martinez examined him. His entire arm now had a faint blue glow beneath the skin, and small scale-like patterns had begun to appear near the bite mark. Your DNA is showing signs of alteration, Dr. Martinez said, reviewing her tablet. But it doesn't appear harmful. In fact, your cellular regeneration rate has improved significantly. So I'm becoming part alien? Jack asked, in a manner of speaking. The changes seem focused on compatibility rather than transformation. You're still human, just ... enhanced. The door slid open and Ambassador Liraven entered. She had visited Jack daily since the meeting, monitoring his changes and explaining Zellner customs to him. May I speak with Jack alone? She asked Dr. Martinez, who nodded and left them. Liraven sat beside Jack's bed. Earth government representatives will arrive tomorrow, she said. They are concerned about what has happened to you. Yeah, that makes 2 of us, Jack replied. The ambassador's expression was serious. Jack, there is something you must understand. The reason Milla was drawn to you, the reason her bite has affected you so strongly, is because your genetic structure is exceptionally compatible with ours. What does that mean? It means you could help save my people, she said quietly. The Zellner have faced a reproductive crisis for generations. Genetic engineering solved some problems but created others. We need new genetic material to survive. As a species, compatible humans are extremely rare. Jack looked down at his glowing arm. So that's why you want to claim me as your mate? For my DNA? Laravan reached out, hesitating before touching his hand. When she did, the blue glow brightened, and Jack felt a warm sensation spread up his arm. That is part of it, she admitted. But there is more. The claiming is also protection. Without it, other Zellner factions might see you as a resource to be taken. As my mate, you would have the protection of my family line, one of the most powerful in our confederation. Jack thought about his life before fixing machines, living alone in his small station quarters. Now he was caught in the middle of an alien diplomatic incident, slowly transforming and being considered as a mate by an alien ambassador. I need time to think, he said finally. Laravan nodded and stood. Of course. But remember, Jack Newman, time is one luxury we may not have much of. As she left, Jack noticed Milla watching from the doorway again. This time, she entered the room and approached his bed. I'm sorry, she said in perfect English, surprising him. I didn't mean to cause trouble. It's okay, Jack found himself saying. You couldn't have known what would happen. Milla smiled, revealing small pointed teeth. Mother says you're special, that you might become part of our family. Jack looked at his glowing arm, then back at the young alien girl. We'll see. Milla, we'll see. The Earth government representatives arrived on Orbital Station Delta 9 the next morning. Jack watched from his bed in the medical bay as 3 official-looking people in dark suits entered, followed by Director Ford and Dr. Martinez. Mr. Newman. I'm Paul Harris from the Earth Diplomatic Corps, said the tall man in front. These are my colleagues, Linda Rogers and Alan Davis. We're here to help resolve your situation. Jack nodded, suddenly feeling like he was in trouble. The blue glow had spread further up his arm overnight, and the scale-like patterns now covered his entire forearm. How are you feeling? Linda Rogers asked, her eyes fixed on his arm. Physically, better than ever, Jack admitted. Mentally, ... Confused, Alan Davis, a serious man with glasses, placed a tablet on Jack's bed. We need you to sign this statement indicating the Zellner acted without your consent. Jack frowned. The girl bit me, yes, but she's just a child. She didn't understand what would happen. Nevertheless, Harris said firmly, this constitutes a biological attack on a human citizen. We need to establish that for the record. Before Jack could respond, the door opened again. Ambassador Laravan entered, her tall figure making the room feel suddenly smaller. Another Zellner male followed her, older than Krell, with elaborate markings that covered most of his visible skin. This is Diplomatic Overseer Veltar, Laravan introduced him. He has arrived from our homeworld to address this situation. Harris stepped forward. Ambassador, with all due respect, we're having a private conversation with our citizen. A citizen who is now biologically connected to our people, Veltar said, his voice deeper than Laravan's. This matter concerns both our worlds. Jack felt trapped between the two groups. The humans saw him as a victim, the Zellner as something valuable. Neither seemed to care much about what he wanted. Can I speak with Ambassador Laravan alone? Jack asked suddenly. Both groups looked surprised, but eventually agreed. As everyone else filed out, Jack noticed Milla trying to slip in. Laravan spotted her daughter and said something sharp in their language. Milla frowned but obeyed, leaving Jack and the ambassador alone. Your people seem worried, Jack said when the door closed. Laravan moved closer to his bed. As they should be. What's happening between us is unprecedented. No human has ever bonded so strongly with a Zellner before. What exactly is happening to me? Jack asked. The truth, please. The ambassador sat beside his bed. Your body is adapting to become compatible with Zellner biology. The changes will continue, but you will remain mostly human. You'll gain some of our abilities, enhanced strength, improved healing, longer lifespan. You'll understand our language completely, and ... And what? And you'll form emotional bonds with those who initiated the change. With Milla, a familial bond, and with me, something different. Jack thought about how he'd felt increasingly drawn to Laravan with each visit. He'd assumed it was just fascination with an alien being, but maybe it was more. Is that why your people want me? For these bonds? Lirven shook her head. Not just that. Our species has been dying slowly for generations. Too much genetic manipulation in our past has led to reproductive failure. Compatible DNA from other species can help us survive, so I'm a walking DNA bank to you? No, Lirven said sharply. You are much more. A potential mate, yes, but also a bridge between our peoples? This hasn't happened by chance, Jack Newman. Milla sensed your compatibility because it is rare and precious. Jack looked at his glowing arm. And if I agree to be your mate, what happens? Then, we complete the bond through a claiming ceremony. You would come with me to our homeworld, help us understand human genetic compatibility, and we would be family, you, me, and Milla. The word family hit Jack harder than he expected. His own family was long gone, parents dead, no siblings, no real friends except casual workplace relationships. The idea of belonging somewhere, even among aliens, was strangely appealing. The door opened again, and Harris stepped back in. Time's up, Ambassador. We need to continue our discussion with Mr. Newman. After Lirven left, the Earth representatives spent hours questioning Jack, taking samples and explaining the diplomatic incident his situation had created. They made it clear they viewed the Zellner with suspicion and wanted to take Jack back to Earth for further study. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. The medical bay was quiet except for the soft beeping of monitoring equipment. He stared at his arm, watching the blue patterns pulse with his heartbeat. A soft sound made him look up. Milla stood in the doorway, glancing nervously down the hall. You shouldn't be here, Jack whispered. You'll get in trouble again. Milla approached anyway. I wanted to see you. Mother says the Earth humans might take you away, Jack nodded. They're worried about what's happening to me. Are you afraid? Milla asked, climbing onto the foot of his bed. A little, Jack admitted. Everything's changing so fast. Milla looked at him with her large eyes. I'm sorry I bit you. I just felt... I knew you were special. How did you know? The girl shrugged. I just did. Like how you know when food smells good, but with people... You smelled right? Despite everything, Jack laughed. Well, that's a new compliment. Milla smiled, then grew serious. If you become Mother's mate, will you be my father? The question caught Jack off guard. I guess I would be, in a way. I never had a father, Milla said quietly. Most Zellner don't. Our males are rare now. Jack began to understand more about their reproductive crisis. Is that why your mother is so interested in me? Because male Zellner are rare? Milla nodded. And because you're compatible. Mother says that's even rarer. She touched his glowing arm gently. Will you stay with us? Before Jack could answer, alarms blared throughout the station. The lights in the medical bay flashed red. Security alert. All personnel to emergency stations, the announcement system blared. Unauthorized vessel approaching docking bay 7. Milla looked frightened. That's where our ship is. The door slid open and Jack's friend Ben Clark from station security rushed in. Jack, we need to move you. Now, what's happening? Jack asked, grabbing his clothes. Another Zellner ship just forced docking. They're demanding to see you, Ben noticed Milla. Who's this? Ambassador Lirven's daughter, Jack explained quickly, pulling on his uniform. Milla, you need to find your mother. The girl shook her head. I'm staying with you. Those are bad people coming. They want to take you. Ben looked confused. What's she talking about? Jack remembered what Larvin had said about other Zellner factions seeing him as a resource. I think we're about to find out. As they hurried from the medical bay, Jack realized he was at the center of something much bigger than a simple diplomatic incident. His life as a maintenance technician seemed very far away now. Whatever happened next, there was no going back to fixing air recyclers and patching coolant leaks. He was changing, not just physically, but in every way that mattered. And somehow this strange alien child clinging to his hand felt more like family than anyone had in years. Jack, Ben, and Milla hurried through the station corridors. Red emergency lights flashed as crew members ran to their security positions. Jack's arm glowed brighter than ever, making it impossible to hide. We need to get to the secure area on Level 5, Ben said, leading them toward an emergency elevator. What about Ambassador Laravan? Jack asked, concerned. Shouldn't Milla be with her mother? The young Zellner girl gripped Jack's hand tighter. Mother will find us. She can sense me, and now she can sense you too. As if summoned by her words, Laravan appeared around the corner with 2 Zellner guards. Her normally calm face showed worry. Jack, Milla! She rushed toward them. Thank the stars you're together. What's happening? Jack asked. Who's on that ship? Laravan's expression darkened. Genetic hunters from the Zellner Science Guild. They learned of your compatibility and came to claim you for themselves. Claim me? Like you want to do? Not like me, Laravan said firmly. They don't want you as family. They want you as a specimen. A resource to be used and discarded. Jack felt a chill run through him. What do we do? You must come with me to our ship, Laravan said. Once the formal claiming ceremony is complete, no Zellner can legally take you. Our laws are absolute. On this, Ben stepped between them. Hold on, he's not going anywhere. Earth officials ordered me to get him to the secure area. Jack looked between his human friend and the alien ambassador. Both wanted to protect him, but in different ways. Ben, Jack said, I need to talk to the Earth representatives first. They should know what's happening. Laravan nodded reluctantly. Very well, but we must hurry. The hunters will not wait long. They took the emergency elevator to Level 5, where station security had set up a command center. Director Ford and the Earth representatives were already there, watching security feeds of the new Zellner vessel. Newman, Harris said when he saw Jack. Good, you're safe. Not for long, Laravan interrupted. The ship that just docked carries genetic hunters. They've come for Jack, Director Ford frowned. Genetic hunters? What does that mean? They collect valuable genetic material for our science guild, Laravan explained. Usually from plants and animals? Taking a sentient being would be illegal. Under our laws? Unless they can claim he has no protected status. Which is why you want to claim him first, Harris said, his voice accusing. This is just a power struggle between Zellner factions. No, Laravan said firmly. My claim would protect Jack as a family member, not a possession. There is a difference. As they argued, Jack felt a strange sensation of pulling awareness toward the docking bay. He could somehow sense the new Zellner arrivals, their presence like a cold spot in his mind. They're coming, he said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. I can feel them. 3 no 4 Zellner. Moving through Level 3 now, Laravan's eyes widened. The bond is growing stronger. You're developing our sensory abilities. Director Ford checked the security feed. He's right. 4 Zellner just passed. The checkpoint on Level 3. How did you know that, Newman? Before Jack could answer, the door to the command center slid open. Diplomatic Overseer Veltar entered, his expression grave. Ambassador, the Science Guild representatives demand to see the human, he said. They claim right of scientific investigation. They have no such right, Laravan countered. He is bonded to my family line. But not yet formally claimed, Veltar pointed out. Until then, their petition has legal standing, Jack stepped forward. Don't I get a say in this? Everyone's talking about claiming me, but nobody's asking what I want. The room fell silent. Even Milla, who had stayed close to Jack's side, looked up at him with curiosity. What do you want, Jack Newman? Laravan asked softly. Jack looked down at his transformed arm, then at the faces around him. The Earth representatives who saw him as a victim to rescue? Veltar, who viewed him as a diplomatic problem. Ben, who just wanted to protect his friend. Milla, who wanted a father. And Laravan, whose alien eyes held something Jack was starting to recognize as affection. I want to understand what's happening to me, he said finally. Not as a specimen or a diplomatic incident, but as a person. And I want to help if I can, but on my terms. Harris shook his head. Newman, you're not thinking clearly. The bite is affecting your judgment. We need to get you back to Earth. My judgment is fine, Jack insisted. Better than ever, actually. I can see things more clearly now. A commotion outside interrupted them. The door slid open again, and 4 tall Zellner entered. They wore dark gray uniforms with scientific insignia. Their leader, a severe-looking female with minimal skin patterns, stepped forward. "I am Chief Hunter Zelra of the Zellner Science Guild," she announced. "We have come for the compatible human." Liravan moved protectively in front of Jack. "He is bonded to my family line and under my protection." Zelra smiled coldly, but not yet claimed. "Until then, the Science Guild has priority in matters of genetic preservation." "He is an Earth citizen," Harris protested. "You have no jurisdiction over him. He carries Zellner biological markers now," Zelra countered, pointing to Jack's glowing arm. "That places him under our scientific authority." Jack felt trapped between these competing claims. Everyone wanted to control him, to use him for their own purposes. The blue glow spread further up his arm, reaching his shoulder now, pulsing with his increasing heart rate. "Enough!" he shouted, surprising himself with the force of his voice. The room fell silent again. "I am not property to be claimed," Jack continued. "Not by Earth, not by the Science Guild, and not even by you, Ambassador. Though I believe your intentions are better than theirs." Jack turned to Liravan. "You said the claiming has to be voluntary, right? That it's a bond, not ownership." She nodded. "That is correct. Force would invalidate the claim." "Then here's what I want," Jack said, finding confidence he never knew he had. "I want time to consider all options. I want guarantees of my freedom and rights whether I'm on this station, on Earth, or on the Zellner homeworld." He looked at Milla, who watched him with hope in her large eyes. "And I want assurances that any help I give to the Zellner people will benefit all of you, not just one faction." Chief Hunter Zelra laughed. "Pretty demands from a specimen." "The Science Guild does not negotiate with research subjects." Jack felt something building inside him, a new strength flowing from the bond. His entire arm glowed brilliantly now, casting blue light across the room. "I am not a specimen," he said, his voice steady. "And I think you'll find I'm more valuable as an ally than a test subject." The hunter took a step toward him, but Liravan moved between them. "Touch him," the ambassador said, "and you violate our most sacred laws." As tension filled the room, Jack realized that his life had changed forever. He was no longer just a maintenance technician. Whatever happened next would shape not just his future, but possibly the future of 2 species. The thought was terrifying and strangely exhilarating. 3 days passed in tense negotiations. Jack remained in a secure room on the station with guards outside his door. His transformation continued. The blue glow now covered half his body, and small scale-like patterns appeared on his skin in beautiful swirling designs. Earth officials argued with Zellner representatives while Director Ford tried to maintain peace on her station. Jack met with each group separately, listening to their offers and demands. On the morning of the 4th day, Jack made his decision. He asked for all parties to meet in the station's largest conference room. When Jack entered, everyone was all ready. The Earth representatives sat on one side, looking concerned. The Zellner Science Guild members stood stiffly at the back of the room. Ambassador Liravan and her delegation sat opposite the humans, with Milla fidgeting beside her mother. Station personnel, including Ben and Dr. Martinez, lined the walls. Jack walked to the center of the room. The blue glow of his transformation made him impossible to ignore. "I've listened to everyone," he began. "And I've made my choice." Harris leaned forward. "Newman, remember your loyalty to Earth?" Chief Hunter Zelra smiled coldly. "Remember who can best use your genetic gifts?" Jack ignored them both and turned to Ambassador Liravan. "You said a claiming must be voluntary to be valid under Zellner law, correct?" She nodded. "That is our most sacred tradition." "Then I volunteer," Jack said clearly. "I accept your claim, Ambassador Liravan, but with conditions." A murmur ran through the room. Milla bounced excitedly in her seat while Liravan's eyes widened in surprise. "First," Jack continued, "I will help the Zellner people with their genetic crisis, but my DNA will be used to help all Zellner, not just one family or faction." He looked pointedly at the Science Guild members, who shifted uncomfortably. Second, I remain a citizen of Earth with all rights that entails, even as I accept status in Zellner society. Harris started to protest, but Jack held up his hand. This isn't negotiable. I'm not giving up my humanity. Third, Jack said, turning back to Lyraven, this claiming isn't just political. If I'm to be your mate, we build a real relationship based on mutual respect. Lyraven stood, her tall figure commanding attention. These terms are acceptable. The claiming ceremony can proceed. Now hold on, Harris interrupted. Earth doesn't recognize this alien claiming ritual. Newman needs to return to Earth for proper medical evaluation. Director Ford, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. Mr. Harris, Jack Newman is a free citizen who can make his own choices. If this is what he wants, we should respect that. And what about the Science Guilds? Petition? Zelra demanded. Diplomatic Overseer Veltar finally spoke. The voluntary claiming takes precedence over all scientific petitions. Our law is clear. Jack looked around the room at the frustrated faces. I know not everyone is happy with this decision, but it's the best solution for everyone. The Zellner get the genetic help they need. Earth establishes a deeper alliance with an advanced species, and he glanced at Lyraven and Mila, I get a new family and a chance to make a difference. The claiming ceremony took place that evening in the station's observation deck. The large windows showed the stars and the curve of the Earth below. Both human and Zellner witnesses gathered to observe the ancient ritual. Jack wore a simple station uniform, freshly pressed. Lyraven wore ceremonial robes of silver and blue. Mila stood between them, barely containing her excitement. Veltar officiated, speaking in the Zellner language, which Jack now understood perfectly. The ritual was simple but profound. Jack and Lyraven exchanged vows of protection and loyalty. Then Lyraven took Jack's transformed hand in hers. With this claiming, our bloodlines join, she said. Your strength becomes mine, and mine yours. Your family becomes mine, and mine yours. She pressed her palm against the spot where Mila had bitten him. The blue glow flared brilliantly, spreading from Jack's arm to encompass both of them in a soft blue light. Everyone in the room gasped. The bond is accepted, Veltar announced. It is done. Jack felt a rush of warmth and connection. He could sense Lyraven's presence in his mind, not her thoughts, but her emotions and her life force. He could feel Mila too, a smaller, brighter presence. Is it always like this? He whispered to Lyraven. No, she replied, looking surprised. The bond is usually more subtle. This is ... extraordinary. After the ceremony, there was a small reception. Some station crew members congratulated Jack, while others kept their distance, unsure what to make of his transformation. The Earth representatives reluctantly acknowledged the new arrangement, but insisted on regular reports and checked dash-ins. Chief Hunter Zelra approached Jack as the reception wound down. You made a clever choice, human, she said. But remember the science. Guild will be watching your progress with great interest. I haven't forgotten about the rest of your people, Jack assured her. The research will be shared. Later, Jack stood alone by the observation window, looking out at the stars. His new life would begin tomorrow. He would leave with Lyraven and Mila for the Zellner homeworld to help with their genetic research and to learn about his new extended family. Having second thoughts? Ben asked, joining him at the window. Jack shook his head. Strange as it sounds, this feels right. You know, when you first got assigned to fix that air recycler, I bet you never imagined it would lead to this, Ben said, gesturing to Jack's transformed appearance. Jack laughed. From maintenance guy to alien diplomat in 1 week. Life is full of surprises. Mila came running up and took Jack's hand. Father, Mother says we should prepare for departure. We leave for home tomorrow. The word father still felt new to Jack, but not unwelcome. He squeezed Mila's small hand. I'll be there in a minute. As Mila ran back to her mother, Ben whistled. Father, huh? That's going to take some getting used to. Everything will. Jack agreed, but that's part of the adventure. 1 year later, Jack stood on the balcony of his home on the Zellner homeworld. The alien landscape still took his breath away, purple skies, crystalline buildings, and strange plants that glowed. At night, his transformation had completed months ago. His skin now had a subtle blue shimmer and delicate scale patterns on his arms and back. He was stronger, faster, and would live far longer than a normal human. But inside, he was still Jack Newman. He had kept his promise to help the Zellner. The genetic research was progressing well, with early trials showing promise for treating their reproductive issues. Jack's DNA had provided the key they needed. Lyravan joined him on the balcony, wrapping her arms around him from behind. Their bond had grown stronger over time, developing into genuine love despite their different species. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "How strange life is," Jack replied. "I was just the maintenance guy on a space station. Then your daughter bit me, and here I am, part of an alien family, helping save an entire species." Lyravan smiled. "The universe works in unexpected ways." From inside their home, they heard Milla calling for them. She had adapted well to having a human father, proudly telling everyone how her bite had started it all. Jack turned from the view of this alien world to follow his wife inside. His old life fixing machines seemed very far away now, but he didn't miss it. Some things broke so they could be rebuilt into something better, and sometimes a simple maintenance job could lead to the greatest adventure of all.